Steve, hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I had a look at the website, Save Funeral Costs. Impressive.
Thank you.
The amount of information is there is just enormous. What made you start it?
After the death of my half-brother, I went to the local undertaker who I'd used before. The costs had really rocketed up. I was surprised. So I went round to other undertakers and they were more or less all within the same price range. Like one was £200 more, one was £300 less, more or less about the same money, which at the time was, this is going back a while, was over £4,400
Wow.
for a basic funeral with one hearse and one limousine.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I didn't think there's anything I could do about it because, as I said, they're all virtually the same cost. So I went to register the death at the town hall, and while I was sitting there was a booklet to be given out free to people on advice on how to organise a funeral. So while I was waiting to be seen by the registrar, I was flicking through it, and at the back of the booklet was an advert from a low-cost undertaker, which I'd never heard of. And I've got to be honest, I was sceptical. I thought, oh, is this not a scam, but it's just, you know, are they low cost? So I registered the death, got back in the car and rung them up while I was in the car, and I spoke to them and they said that they could do the same funeral for roughly 50% less than what I've been quoted. So I was using over £2,000, and I thought, whoa. And I asked them why, because again I was sceptical. So they told me why, and I thought, a lot of people don't know about you. Basically, it's due to the marketing of the big companies. The smaller ones can't compete with the marketing, so people just don't hear about them. So a little while after the funeral, well, some time elapsed, and then I decided to start Save Funeral Costs. I wrote the book and then I founded the website, this consumer help website.
What makes Save Funeral Costs different from other funeral help websites?
The main thing that makes it different is that I'm independent. I don't accept money from sponsors, so I've got no one, for want of a better word, pulling my strings. And as far as I know, Save Funeral Costs is the only site that specialises on low-cost funerals, where it goes into full depth about them all.
And how do you help someone who needs help to pay for a funeral?
On the site there's the navigation bar, as you've seen. One of the navigation points is Site Guide, and you scroll down that and the first one you'll come to is Help with Funeral Costs. That's for people mainly who are on benefits, and it lists all the government benefits. It also lists help from charities. You don't have to be means tested for a lot of charities. And also it talks briefly about benevolent funds, although I have got a whole page devoted to benevolent funds, which again is on the Site Guide. And a lot of people are totally unaware, but benevolent funds, there's many different benevolent funds, often provide financial help for the family for a funeral and bereavement help, or some of them can offer both financial and bereavement advice, because some of the funds are a lot bigger than others. But it lists those there, and also again on the navigation bar, if you go across the steps 1 and 5, the first one, it lists low-cost undertakers, which is self-explanatory. It lists the low-cost undertakers in the UK. Then number 2 is the funeral service, how to organise your own celebrant or humanist. 3 is coffin prices. 4 is funeral wakes, how to save money on funeral wakes. And then step 5 is home and natural burials, again how to organise and save money on home and natural burials. Plus the blog posts are very varied on again all cost saving tips and advice.
That's an enormous amount of information.
Yes, I've tried to make it over the years now, I've refined it into like a one-stop specialist consumer advice site.
So if I go on the website, you provide all details on where and how I can get in contact
That's
with
it, yes. Yes, that's a very important point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't just talk about things, how you can save money. It lists links, and then where it will take you through to the address of the company and the telephone number as well. So you haven't got to mess about going, while you're on the page, you just click the link. I've also got a funeral directory on the navigation bar, which lists even a grave digging service that goes around the UK. if you wanted to do a home burial and you wanted a grave dug, all sorts of things. But yeah, they're all listed there, so it's very easy to access the services. Well, as I said to you, it's very important to have easy access to all this.
Yeah. So, what's the main goal? What's your aim? What's the aim of?
That's a tough one. The main goal is to try and educate the public that there are low-cost services there. I want them to know that they've got options. They can still have a quality funeral, or dignified funeral, and it's basically that. So it's the aim, in a nutshell, is to try and change people's perceptions of not just going down the road, but to look on the website first, and as I say, check out other options.
Yeah.
Even for something like a coffin, if you wanted a bespoke coffin or a cheaper coffin, you can get coffins delivered. And a lot of people don't realise as well that you can decorate a coffin.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realise that, but it's very nice. You can buy, for instance, if you bought a cheaper cardboard coffin, and then you have it delivered to your house. I went to a funeral years ago where the grandmother died, and the grandchildren decorated the coffin, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
And it's a nice thing to do. That's in step 3, coffin prices. It will tell you all the different coffin manufacturers that are in the UK. You can have coffins delivered, or sometimes you have to go through an undertaker to get them. If you want a specialist coffin, such as one made of wool or something like that.
Steve, you mentioned the Safe Funeral Costs book.
Oh yes.
You authored that. What made you write it?
Yeah, when we last spoke, I spoke about the book, and the book, I wrote that first of all because I thought it would be a handy reference point to people, maybe some of the older generation who don't always like going on the internet, for basically most of what's on the website. The book is not continually, I try and update the book, yes, but it's not as updated as much as the website. And the website holds the most
Safe Funeral Costs.
Yes, holds the most amount of information. But having said that, I keep the book up to date with the main key points of the website, like the low-cost undertakers and other cost-saving points. Obviously, you haven't got all the blog posts in the book, for instance, and there's a lot of information there. I've tried to keep the costs down. I mean, the printed one is £3.97, and the ebook is £2.97, so it's about the price of a cup of coffee. It's not outrageous.
No, it's only.
And if you wanted a free version of the book, I do have a free download on the site, but that's got the affiliate advertising in.
Thank you very much, Steve. The website is brilliant. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of work.